Hello YouTube, hello, and we're back again, as always of course. So yeah, today we're gonna be talking about heat. Since I mentioned heat in my previous video, I wanted to expand on it a little bit, not a lot obviously. We're gonna be talking about heat activation today, and there are three, so let's already start. There are three different kinds of heat activations and how we can enter heat in general. So one is a heat engager. Right, you use a move that makes you go into heat into a heat engager into a +9 situation. That's one. Two is a heat burst. Right, heat burst into neutral. Right, it can either be blocked or hit. Obviously whiff as well, but we're not going to talk about the whiff property because you're most likely going to get punished if it whiffs. Most likely, anyway. Okay, that's two. But what's the third one? You can't think of a third one, right? But the third one is out of neutral heat burst. It's still a heat burst, but it's a different kind of heat burst because it's outside of neutral and it's inside of a combo. So we're going to be talking about the heat burst first and heat engager last. So first let's talk about the combo one because it's the most simple to explain. Whenever you combo someone, for example, doesn't matter how you do it, you can heat burst, go into heat, and then continue your combo. This is what's happening as of Season 2. On Season 3, I will make this vid again, most likely, on different kinds of situations if they change it. If they change heat and these properties in general, I'll make another video just like this one. Okay, so this, your main priority here when you activate heat is, the answer to this basically is it depends. One is if there are no walls around, let's say you're comboing someone, but you're in a stage like this when there's not a wall around, the best situation you can do, well, there are two options that you have basically. One is a damaging option, deal as much damage as possible. Second is an Oki option, which you have an advantage when they stand up, so you mix them up again. I would advise, depending on your character, on what to do. Sometimes you can choose the damage option, but if you pick a good mix-up character, let's say Kaz, for example, his heat is very strong when it comes to mix-ups, right? Obviously, it's Kazuya. You can use your heat, use a combo for, let's say, good Oki situation, and then mix someone up with your health sweep, either 4-4-2 or whatever, right? Just mix someone up. I would advise with Oki situations with these kind of characters, I would advise with damage situations with maybe some other kind of characters, but Oki situations in general are good. They're never bad. You might lose some damage by doing them, but yeah, they're not bad. And for you to find your Oki situation, you have to just research. I can't really help you with that because it really depends on your character. With Kaz, I just like it ending with an electric and then running up into a mix-up, for example, or ending with like down 4-1-4 or whatever, right? And then run up into a mix-up. With Kaz, that's what I do. With your character, you have to do your own research about what to do for Oki. And damage as well, obviously, it's just combos. So this is the simple part, heat burst and combos, that's what you do. But outside of it, I mentioned, right, this kind of stage, that's your priority, these two. Not priority, but options. But the third option is actually the most important one if there's a wall on the stage. If there's a wall, your main priority is to get to the wall. That's it. Get to the wall combo into mix up on the wall combo ender, after wall combo ender, while you're still in heat. That's it. It's that simple. Okay. Now, heat burst on hit and on block. Right? So heat burst is a power crush. It's a 16 frame fast power crush that has normal power crush properties. It can whiff whatever, right? It depends on your character as well. So if your character's name is, I don't know, Eddie, Shaheen, maybe even Huang, but those two, the first two I mentioned, they have amazing range, so they can hit even from here, right? Or even maybe from here, right? They will hit very far away. So it depends on your situation. Some will have better tracking and stuff, but what we're going to be talking about is the universal situation when it comes to -1, not -1, +1, +2 situation. So what's the +1, +2 situation? So when you hit this, you are +2 when you look at the frames, when you hit it. But when you block it, so when they block this, like this, you're +1. So the situation changes by 1 frame. So the situation is not that different, I'm going to be honest, but you can use slightly different options based on if it's on hit or on block. If it's on hit, you can use 12 frame moves a little bit more safely, I guess. For example, Magic 4 on Gaz, or even 2-2 on Gaz, and stuff like that you can somewhat use. I wouldn't really recommend it too much. I would still use the same options as the +1 situation, but you can do that, right? But now let's talk about situations. So the +1 situation, and as I said, I mostly use the same situations, not situations, the same options in the +2 situation as well. So the on hit and on block situation is mostly the same for me, mostly anyway. The biggest difference is on the defender. So I'll explain this first. So the biggest difference between these two, I don't think it's actually the +1 frames. The biggest difference is that when they get hit, they are forced to crouch. That is the biggest difference. So as an offender, you have to think about this. They are gonna be crouching when you hit them with this, which means their options are limited to while standing moves, like while standing 4, while standing 1, whatever, right? They can't do a jab. They can't jab you. That's why this is important when you hit it. If you understand this, maybe your options are gonna be a little bit different. For example, you can sidestep after it if you predict a while standing 4. You can jab, but they can't jab you and stuff like that. Right? This is the important part about that, but the mind games can be different based on your character. Now let's talk about the mind games, right? And the options that you have, which, as I said, is kind of similar to both situations, but it's important to understand that they're crouching when you hit them. But when it gets blocked, normally, what are your options? +1, right? So I'm gonna make this a little bit more simple. Your options are pretty simple. One is you can check them with anything, right? Usually a 10 frame move. If you do a jab, that's a good check. You can also check them with a down jab. You can also check them with even a generic down 4 somewhat works, or a fast move in general, like a 14 frame, 13 frame, 12 frame move, something like that. If it's a mid, it will work. For example, down forward 4, back 2, these are checks, right? Mid checks. If you want a high check, jabs or G clefs. For example, Dragonov out here has one of the best checks in this kind of situation, because after he heat bursts, he has a G clef that's also +5, right? 1-2-1. A G clef is one of your best options, by the way, if your character does have it. And it depends on the character as well. For example, Dragonov's is very hard to actually deal with because his second hit tracks really, really well. It really tracks really well. It's Tekken 8, right? And you can also try to sidewalk this, but the last hit is gonna hit you. Right, so this is really, really hard if you step that way, and you have to like force yourself to step this way, and then continue sidewalking if you want to deal with it, right? Like imagine you're the Dragonov player. This is what your opponent has to do to deal with this, so this is not that easy. So yeah, they have to commit. So G-Clef is an amazing option depending on your character. Basically a 10 frame check. If you have a G-Clef, it's amazing. If you have a 1-1-2 like Mishima's, that's also really good. Stuff like that, right? A 10 frame jab check. You can also use down jabs and stuff like that. If you want fast mid checks, use your 13 frame or 14 framers. Usually it's your down forward 1. For guys, it's back 2, down forward 4, stuff like that. That can work, right? Obviously, these are your checks. Next is your mix-up options. If you think that they're not going to do anything, you can mix them up with your low, let's say down back 4, let's say hell sweep, let's say forward 4, CD1 +2. Basically, if you're reading that they're not going to challenge you, you can just go on and mix them up with your mix-up buttons, whatever your mix-up buttons are for your character, right? So yeah, that's about it for a little bit more on the offensive side. But if you want to play a little bit more defensively, let's say in the -1 situation, as I already explained on block, this situation, the opponent might be jabbing you here as well. So if you do predict that they're gonna jab you, or maybe they will G-clef you even though they're the one getting hit, well, they're blocking, right? But they're -1, but they might do a G-clef or jab check themselves. You can also use a high crush option. For example, I like doing down 1 +2 here sometimes, because I predict, you know, they're gonna jab me, and I'm gonna high crush them and counter hit them, for example, right? Or high crush them in general with whatever move you have, and then hit them, right? So these are your options mostly. A high crush if you predict a jab. You can press a jab check for a fast high check. You can a fast mid check with like down forward 1s and stuff. And the last option that you also have is movement. So movement is sidestepping or backdashing, right? Sidestepping is one of the best things you can do here, because if they do press, sometimes sidestep will make it whiff and you will get a punish on them, right? And the backdash is also decent, but since you're so close to the opponent, it doesn't work a lot of the time, but it's decent. It's not too bad, right? But sidestepping is what I would recommend, but be careful which side you sidestep, you might get caught. Okay, that's about it for heat bursts. More or less, right? As I said, a little bit more simple. When you activate heat burst, what are your options? These are your more generic options. Now, heat engager. Whenever you heat engage someone, doesn't matter what you do, right? You're always going to be +5 and running into them. Always going to be +9 and running into them. So what are your options here? What I'm saying right now is going to be very important. If the option you choose is going to be 16 frames fast or slower, so 17 or even slower, the opponent can power crush through your option. So what I mean is this right here. For example, Gazia's forward 2 is 16 frames fast, right? And even though you're +9, this can actually be power crushed through. So this is important to remember, that Power Crush is actually a very, very viable option for the defender here. So if you want to use a move that will beat that, you have to use a move that's 15 or faster, depending on the opponent's Power Crush as well. Some Power Crushes are 6-frame startups, whatever, right? Overcomplicating stuff, let's not talk about that. So for example, if I use down forward 2, that will beat it 14 frames fast. Down forward 1, that will also beat it 15 frames fast. That's it, it has to be 15. Important to know. So if you want to beat a Power Crush, you have to use a move that's 15 or faster. There we go. That's already a good rule to know. Other than that, these are like moves that you just can't beat, right? They can't beat you no matter what they do, even if they Power Crush, unless they sidestep. So that's a different question. That's something you have to lab yourself. For example, there are some moves that are steppable, but usually if you pick a move that's 15 or faster, usually they won't be able to sidestep it. Usually, right? There might be some exceptions, but sidestepping for the defender, you have to like choose your option well and, you know, lab yourself. I'm going to tell you guys how to lab this. Basically put, let's say, sidewalk right or sidewalk left, whichever side you want to check, and then C, right? For example, forward 4-2 here, as you see, it can be stepped, right? And then see your options. If you want to see, let's say, down forward 1 can it be stepped, this is how you check. Oh, it can't be stepped. Or sidewalk left, and check side steps as well, right? Oh, it can't. As I said, usually if it's 15 or faster, it won't be able to use side steps. As I said, usually. You have to check it yourself. But yeah, this is a good rule of thumb. If you want to check your opponent without them doing anything much, make your move 15 frames or faster. Okay, second thing. You can use a mix-up move if you think that they're not going to move, let's say, or not going to Power Crush. So mix-up moves are something like, you know, forward 4, forward 4-3, CD1+2 for Kazuya. For your character, it might be different. If you have full crouch moves, make sure to go into full crouch like this. And then use your full crouch move, for example, for Dragunov, right? Whenever a Dragunov does a heat engager, let me do a heat engager, you can do a full crouch and then use this as a mix-up. The full crouch low and then mixed up with whatever you want, right? Mixed up with whatever mid you want. So it depends on your character. If you want a full crouch mix-up, you go full crouch. If you don't want a full crouch mix-up, you don't, and then use your normal mix-up. For us, for example, you can use a Hell Sweep here, right? As a mix-up. Mix it up with maybe down forward 1 if you want to beat Power Crushes. You can use forward 2 if you want to risk getting hit by a Power Crush, but it's still a mix-up because they have to guess a low. But yeah, basically that's how it is. You have to use your mix-up button, basically, right? A mix-up button is something you have to see for yourself, for your own character. I already explained this in one of my videos as well, that you have to find the mix-up buttons, like mix-up mid or mix-up low for your own character, and this is what you do in this +9 situation if you don't want to check them, right? And these are the two main options that you can do after heat engagers, mostly, right? The main ones. And the other stuff, the third thing you can also do, which usually it's not, I mean, it's also very good to do, to be fair. And the third one is use plus frames more, like stack more frames. For example, forward 4 is a move that you can mix them up with because it can be a mix-up. It's a mid that's, you know, kind of same frames as down back 4. Right, you can use this, but it also stacks plus frames because it's +4. It's the same as CD1+2, right? It is a plus frame move, but it's also a mid mix-up. It is a mix-up. So you can just stack frames with whatever moves you have. Like, for example, Kazuya even has something like CD3 here, which not a lot of people use, but this is a plus frame move as well. So depending on your character, for example, Dragunov can do like the rule number 1 and rule number 3 at the same time, because his wall running 2 will counter it everyone because it's very fast. That could try to Power Crush while also stacking plus frames. If you do multiple things at the same time, like the wall rank 2 also can work as a mid mix-up as well, so it does everything at the same time. So choose your options carefully, and as many options that you cover, the better. For Dragunov players, wall running 2 covers almost everything. For Elite players, the wall running 3-4 covers almost they just can't do anything about it if you, as a Elite player, when you heat engage, do a wall running 3-4, while also stacking plus frames and playing mind games with them. Right? So yeah, I think that's about it. Those are the main ways to go into heat. So heat burst combo I already explained, heat burst neutral I already explained, and heat engager I already explained. This is what the options you have usually when you go into heat outside of your unique character stuff. Obviously the unique character stuff is gonna be very useful no matter what as well. Depends on your character. For some characters, some things are more useful than others. For example, heat smashes are more useful than like character power-ups, like unique moves, whatever, right? That's a little bit more unique and not in general guide. But yeah, everyone, hopefully this was helpful. Hopefully can understand what to do after heat burst or heat engager a little bit better because of this as well. So yeah, as always, thank you for watching, and I'll see everyone in the next one.